Today I started off with about an hour of sketching one of the actresses from Deadpool 2. And of course I finished up the little pin-up I was working on to get my hands all warmed up to working on the actual page of a comic book, redoing the art for that. And I did do all of that, but I did have a question to answer. And so I thought, haphazardly, I'd do a little bit of a tutorial. Fun trying to figure out the bone structure, getting some subtle expressions. And then I remembered that one Marshall Lee asked me how I draw eyes, like how I choose the right lines for like a comic book kind of effect. And so I was kind of thinking about that when I was sketching away. So I think the thing to understand, like the way I've been thinking about it lately, the way I've been working, is really about workflow. So, you know, like I force myself to just kind of draw the eyes. I decide like, well, like normally, you know, you get the circle for the face right there. I hope this shows up right. So I kind of decide like, well, how much of which side of the face is going to be shown. So if this is larger, you know, this is going to be shorter. So you get foreshortening here, you know. So that's kind of how I work. And then I just go around the face. Oh, right? Let's say we draw the same girl. This is the space between the eyebrows. I always like to draw. So we just kind of break it down to shapes. But I think like what I realized this morning, what is key for me is that like it's really a matter of making some decisions about what you want to show and what you don't. And so when I try to become a little bit more aware of this process that I have, so let's draw some eyeballs. So all this sketching that I'm doing right now is really me building up the face on paper, you know? This is not the actual drawing. This is all what helps me build the face on paper. So you just construct a face, and this is where if you know your anatomy, it really comes into play. But if you don't, it's what helps you learn. And so you can find all these things in anatomy books. You can follow tutorials over on YouTube. There's lots of people pointing out all these things. But for me, it's really a question of breaking down the shapes into like these little geometrical shapes with the aid of the guidelines. And then, you know, if you can draw a triangle, if you can draw a cube, if you can draw a sphere, it takes some time being able to see that in the face and knowing the positions of all. And then of course, you know, it's hard because so many people look so different, and a lot of the very subtle differences are very hard to pin down in the beginning because the you know, like they're easiest to mess up, and they're the ones that set us apart from one another sometimes. But yeah, like once you have these very basic shapes down and you can rotate them, then one way, like the way I'm drawing this particular face right here is, you know, like you just saw me do, like you shorten some of the guidelines and you just draw the spheres in for the eyes. You draw like these spheres in for the cheekbones, like along the same lines that you see in the other drawing that is at a different angle, and then but you draw one shorter than the other and you just build it up like that, you know, like I am doing right here with this funny little skeleton. I've only just realized I'm drawing at a bit of an angle for you guys. So the jaw, just got a bit of a square jaw going. This, like that. And then, so instead of just drawing, you know, we shorten it because we're looking at the face from a slight angle. Tool-wise, what really helps me is new pencil. So as you can see, I've applied a lot of tape. I just wanted to, I saw that in, what is it, ZHC. It's a YouTube channel. This guy from, I think it's LA, who does a lot of comic book art. And he's very prolific on Instagram. So I've been following his channel a little bit. He's very energetic, which is kind of fun to watch. And so he adds this for grip, and so I thought I'd give it a go. Of course, as I'm using up this pencil, I'm gonna have to get rid of this. And yeah, it makes a difference. I've also done the same over here, going off on a little bit of a tangent, because I felt like my hand has been cramping up so much lately. So when I saw this little video he did about wrapping up your pencils, I'm like, maybe the reason I cramp up my hands is because I'm trying to maintain that grip. And with the pencil, it's a little less obvious, but with this one, I got a lot more cramp because this one was very slippery, and it turning, of course, makes a huge difference in the line compared to a pencil. So we're building up the face. Using a light pencil really helps. Probably a good idea to start deciding where the shadow is going to be. So let's go here, draw a little sphere. So there's going to be light coming from here, but this is the main source, right? Okay, so that means, let's see, so let's draw some lines to pick from for the eyelids. Again, this is like why it's very helpful using a light one, because I find like I need those lines to kind of pick from, but it really messes up the paper very quickly. Therefore, the lighter the better, so you can easily get rid of it with a kneadable eraser. So something I've been having trouble with in the past drawing eyes is getting the characters not to look cross-eyed. Just realize this needs to be up. So I just draw dots now because they're a lot easier. They're so exact. See? They're just a lot easier to just kind of draw the iris. And I always feel this is a little bit silly because they look so ghoulish. All right, so you've got the tear duct here. So I drew the eyeball, right, which is very helpful with where the line underneath the eye is going to be. It's very helpful with knowing when this is right or wrong with the eyelids. Okay, so I draw like little triangles like that. That's probably not visible for you guys. Or you can go like this, whichever way works. This is definitely a bit more pointy. So I'm not actually going to draw this line, just saying that now. But I need to draw it, again, like I'm constructing the face. I need to draw it to know what I'm going to be doing later. Notice how you almost lose track now of what is happening over here. So let's lighten this up. So let's add shadow. This is going to be dark over here. So here, this is going to get light from over here. All right. Let's get the ear in. There we go. Shadow comes this way. So this is going to be lit up over here, which means if we're going to have some shading here, like I'll make it very dark because of the contrast. All right, so build up the face. I grabbed the other pencil, which is the darker one. Ah, got that one right here. So this is a very dark pencil. So this is like the equivalent of inking before I start inking. But I need to sharpen it up for a bit, so 1 second. So now it's time to start picking out some of the lines you want to keep. And so the way I try and pick them, the way I did it over here, was to only look for the deepest blacks. So there's lots of, for example, over here, there's lots of shading, which I'm inclined to want to draw, but in order to keep the art legible, like I have to make a decision, like, is this going to be a piece that is going to be fully rendered with lots and lots of detail and lots of like etching, because I want to draw all the attention on that drawing, that face, on that part of the page, or can I just kind of ease off on it and keep it legible as much as possible by stylizing the art and only inking what needs to be inked. Like I try to keep these things in mind. I think that's actually one of the main lessons I took with me, among some other ones, of course, from that Jake Parker character design workshop I did in Sevilla. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen that video, I'm still very proud of that video. Shameless plug of my little Sketchalona episode. I'll put a link down below if you haven't seen my little trip to the south of Spain. So, what is going to be pitch black? All right, so nostril. This is definitely going to be pitch black, right? So there's going to be light reflecting on the nose. The nose is, of course, going to be a pain in the ass because, you know, like you want to draw as little as possible, but at the same time, they tend to be very unique features. So you want to have the right one. So let's see. I'm going to have the outline here. And then we're going to continue that over here because this is unique to her nose. So we want that in. And there's going to be a little bit over here. So that's it. And then underneath, so this is going to be shading. And we're going to draw that in, yes or no. I'm just going to give a hint of it. That's it. I'm going to leave it. And I'll decide afterwards whether I need to fill that in more. Okay. So the light over here, this is definitely going to be pitch black. And so I know the question is more about the eyes, but I'm just getting a little carried away. And this is all going to come back to the eyes. It's the same thought process. So there's going to be lots of fine detail on the mouth, but I'm just trying to, what is actually going to be pitch black, right? That's it. Again, things get complicated here because of light bouncing back, but this is definitely going to be pitch black. Same like over here, there's light going to be bouncing, but, and then her jawline. Wait. The eyebrow. So work that out. Does all of the eyebrow have to be pitch black? No. So just leave it like that. This is actually pitch black. Over here. It's going to be a little pitch black over here. Definitely over here. So there's going to be shading here, but like I'm just looking for just the parts which are actually going to be black. Hair here. The inside of the ear. Just make that pitch black. So what is actually going to be pitch black? There's going to be shadow here. There's going to be some over here. And so now we have to draw the actual eye, right? So this side, if you imagine it being like a 3D object and it's sticking out, there's going to be shine on the eye on this side. So draw that in. So the light is coming like that, hence the shadow over here, over here, over here. So then I can draw a thicker line underneath here. This is just under the eyelid. Same over here. So like you can have like some eyelashes over here, but like you can imagine like this being the sphere. It's going to be darker over here. So we're going to draw just where the eye would meet, and then again that sphere is right here. So there's going to be like this. There's just going to be a hint of dark right there.
So the eyelid here is going to be on the thin side,
but it is going to be here just because of the light source, right? And then that's it, we leave it. So there's going to be some eyelashes here. Just fill it in. That's it, we leave it. So let's do the other one. Again, the other one is going to be like we decided, a little dot was here. So this one is going to be covered in the shadow of the nose, so you can't have that, so the light is not going to have that reflection, it's going to be on this side, right? So just draw that black, shade this in a lot more around it. There's still going to be a shadow here, and so the shadow, the light coming in like this, the sphere of the eye being like right here, you can imagine underneath, where we can just emphasize underneath the eyelid here. We don't have to draw the actual inside of the eyelid unless you want to. And then, so this is gonna meet up. And then this side is gonna be dark, right? So. And this side is going to be dark. So I'm just gonna, we're just looking for the like the actual black, deep black shapes. Right? No shading here. Like there's lots of shading you see in me building up the face. We can make the argument like here. There could be lots of cross hatching here to build up this shape here. But I'm only looking for the deepest of deep black shapes. Same here, like the hair could be, she's got pretty wild hair. So it's probably like sticking up here. So it's gonna be blocking a lot of the light. So you can say like, oh, this is gonna be like in shadow over here. But you can just have a hint of that, like that. With this one line. And then the colorist could finish it up if you don't want to shade it, right? Same like, the more lines you put in a face, especially for the ladies, just the way we tend to interpret those lines, the older they get. So I want to kind of leave this all out, but like if you just want to have the bare minimum, you could make the argument that her cheek is right over here. There's going to be shadow here, so we can just have a hint of it like that. And then we could call it a day, right? Let me just finish this up just a little bit. Have a little bit more of that fuzzy hair. Again, it's the bare minimum. So this is kind of how I build up the face. These are the rules I apply. And so even though this was a question about eyes, they're all the same rules. You use the guidelines, you build up the face if you need to rotate it, if you're not drawing from life. And then what I've been doing in the last couple of weeks is I just look for, like I don't try and shade it in like I do to build up the face, but to draw it anew on top of the build-up, I look for the deepest blacks and just fill them in straight away. And then I try and keep in mind like, okay, so there's lots here that is probably in shadow as well, and I probably want to draw that as well. That comes after this. And so, of course, the better you get at this, the faster you get at this, the more of these like drawing in phases you do simultaneously. But this is how I draw eyes in a comic book manner and get the try and get the right lines for me. So I hope that answers your question. I've got a lot of drawing to do, so on to the next part of the video. Hello everyone, it's Sean. Welcome to my day 95 of 100 Days of Making Comics. It's a little challenge in which I try and find at least half an hour a day, as the challenge demands, to work on my personal comic book project while trying to fix this leak in my toilet. But that's a completely different matter. It's going well. I've been a little carried away on a little pin-up because I needed to get my my inking fingers nimble, and then so as I'm wrapping up that one over there, let me just show you what I've been doing in my sketchbook. So I'm just trying out some different techniques with ink pens, so mostly these over here rather than the nib that I've been using in my 100 Days of Making Comics pin-up in preparation for the page. But I'm really pleased with how this one came out. Just drawing some people in the news. This is a great face. Perfect for a little cross-hatching. I like the shading here the best. And then meanwhile, over on my Render Fest. So I've been running into lots of problems, like trying to fix them because I over-rendered. I actually erased this face, the blue pencil, because I felt like, because the head was like same size, and I'm like, but he's actually in the foreground. It doesn't work. So yeah, so I changed that up. Check the difference. The tweaks. Increase the size over here, like intended. Completely reworked that one. It was just getting too messy. Add a little gray tone, and proceed to get completely carried away for the rest of the afternoon, messing around with the airbrush settings in Photoshop and trying to figure out how I did that life in space gray tone thing that I was so happy with back then. But I'm glad I got that out of my system. I think I'm done now to get started on that page right after we go see Deadpool.